Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to one of RVN's still newer television shows, What the Why with Barbara Ann. If you haven't seen us before, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured it out. So how can this be helpful to you? Well, maybe you're feeling stuck and you want to get unstuck, or maybe you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, whether it's in your life, your career, your company. One thing that all of the leaders that we're speaking to, all different ages and genders and races and ethnicities, one thing they all have in common with you is they felt similarly at some point in their life. Today's guest is no exception. My guest today is Mary Lynn Harris. Mary Lynn is Chief Knowledge Officer of the End of Life Doula Services and the owner of Heart It Works LLC. In addition to being a business and life coach, Mary Lynn hosts the national podcast, What Difference Are You Making?, which is also part of the Impactful Legacy podcast. And she's the first national podcast host for which I ever had the honor of being a guest. So I'm really excited to have her here today. As if these different roles were not enough, Mary Lynn is the founder and chief creator of Sedona Pies. As in Sedona, California, you ask? Yes. One of the reasons I'm also so excited is Mary Lynn is joining me from California as my very first remote guest. In terms of credentials, she's got a lot of them. Mary Lynn holds a Bachelor of Business Administration with a major in marketing and with studies in business and management and marketing. She also holds multiple certifications in everything from marketing to coaching and continuing education credits in support of that. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Mary Lynn.
Hey, welcome. Thank you so much for being on your show, Barbara. Looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. Like I said, yours was the first national podcast I was ever on. So I knew from the beginning when I did move to having select guests on a remote basis, you were definitely the first person I wanted to talk to. So we met through a really fascinating group that meets weekly called the Inclusive Leadership in a Virtual World. So we've never even met in person. So we've gotten to know each other through this group, and in actuality, there's so many things about you I don't even know that I'm gonna be learning at the same time that our audience learns them. So one of the things I always point out, as I mentioned in my opening, is everyone has a story. So once upon a time, when you were little, I don't know if you imagined that you would be doing all of these different important roles. And one of the ones I didn't even mention was you recently became a coach for the SBA Thrive program as well. So we're just gonna keep piling on the additional amazing work that you're doing. But what did you want to be when you were growing up?
Well, I wanted to be a psychologist, so I can understand why people would bully other people or pick on other people. That was my initial decision. What do I want to be when I grow up?
Wow. All right. So sounds like there might be more to that story in terms of how you made that decision.
Well, it's just because, like most kids, not most kids, I would say, certainly as a kid, I was bullied a lot. And so I decided that I should become a psychologist to help those people that bully other get them to stop.
Yeah.
That was my kind of theory, my thinking. But as life has unraveled, I didn't do it. I didn't become a psychologist. I went on to do other things.
Yeah, and you're making such a great impact in so many other areas. So how did you get from the young person who wanted to understand bullying, because bullying was not at all even acknowledged as a thing like it is now. How did you evolve from that to what you're doing today?
Well, I had a spiritual awakening, I guess, in 1999, and it's about long process, but the marketing story to that is basically I was burnt out from doing my work in marketing and communications, and I was surrendering a lot. And I just said to God, I says, God, tell me what I should do next, because I don't know what else I should be doing. And the answer came, kindness. And I'm like, kindness? What the hell is kindness? and so kindness conferences, just be kind, kindness. I'm like, okay, whatever. So after getting back on my feet and getting a job and everything, I said, well, I guess I should start this kindness stuff. And then, it's sort of like one of those things where you go, kindness, okay, what does that look like? Kindness conference, okay, what the hell does that look like? So, it's just going from that point of view of taking the idea, whatever kindness is, and implementing it. And I think kindness is really the undercurrent to helping people to stop bullying, and also the undercurrent for people to be kinder to each other. And then we would have a more holistic and powerful workplaces if there was more kindness in our world and in our own lives.
Wow.
That's how I got into kindness. And then I continued to do, I hopefully continue to be kind to other people. And I just know that kindness is the powerhouse to all things, to heal all things. So that's kind of, and then I just started the pie business in Arizona because I use pies as a vehicle for showing your appreciation. So still using kindness, sending the messages about kindness, and only this time we have a product to share with people. And then throughout my life, I've always coached entrepreneurs, and so getting this work with SBA it's going to be a lot of fun. So look forward to helping other small businesses grow.
Awesome. And yes, thank you for that correction, because I kept thinking, well, maybe there is a Sedona, California, and like in our area, there's 4 different Washington townships in 2 states. And so I was like, well, maybe there is a Sedona, California, but the only Sedona I knew was Arizona. But I'm like, okay, I'll roll with it. So I'm glad you cleared that up. So Sedona Pies is in Arizona, but you are joining me from the Sacramento area in California. So I did at least get that right.
Well, I'm in Fremont, California.
Oh, you're in Fremont, California right now.
My cohort is in Sacramento.
Okay. Now, by cohort, that's related to what you're doing with the SBA. Can you talk a little bit about your brand new role with the Small Business Administration?
I think there was just some application. You want to be a coach, and I said, "Oh yeah, I've done that before." So I just put in my application. And then one day I get an email. "Oh, welcome to the team." And I'm like, "Who are you?" And so yeah, that's how I got onto the team of coaching for SBA, and they're thriving. Emerging leaders in the community, because as my father used to tell me, and I firmly believe, that small businesses is really what runs the economy. Without small businesses, you don't really have an economy. And so I'm really excited to support these business owners that have been in business for a while, and now they're on their next step of growth. So that's how I got into being an SBA coach.
Right, which is awesome, because the U.S. Small Business Administration, this is the rebranding of their established, full disclosure, I used to work for the SBA. So when I found out that you were going to be one of those coaches, I was really excited, because you've been working with businesses, ironically, I guess ironically isn't the right word, but you've been working with businesses on the kindness issues for years. And so definitely someone with the experience that you have could be, instrumental, if not integral, to the growth of smaller businesses going through what we used to call this MBA, or Master's Business Administration Light program. And having you as a coach will be a tremendous resource for them. But as I mentioned, you've worked with some other businesses, and you once shared a story with me, to the extent that you can talk about it, about the different programs and services that you've offered, and how not all companies want to take the need to deal with issues like bullying, like diversity, like kindness within the workplace seriously.
Yeah.
To the extent that you're comfortable sharing, if you could share that with our audience, I think they'd be very interested.
Yeah. Well, it was a learning curve for me too, about kindness and what it means. And to me, a lot of it is just after all that many years of doing that, talking with businesses, getting them to buy a kindness program in their business. A lot of businesses want to be kind, but they don't really want to implement it because they think that it's not going to pursue results for them, or they don't want to be too soft. They want to be tough people. But overall, kindness programs or initiatives in your businesses you'll always have a higher performing organization, always. And from the kindness conferences that I produced, and then I also started the Kindness Hero Award, and I think so far 35 awards have gone out to people about other people nominating kind people. So I'll be doing that again this year as well. But it's kindness is really important. It doesn't matter what business you are in and how you do it. So now, from the kindness thing, I'm called to be an end of life doula. And so from that, I guess my frustration when I shared with you, Barbara, is that not only people to be kinder at work, but it's about being kind to yourself. So even as a end-of-life doula or helping people to do their living will or their paperwork, it's all about being kind to yourself or having more self-care for yourself. Take on responsibility for yourself. And because without that, you can't be a good leader. You can't have all the benefits without having all that. And that's my why is, why aren't you taking care of yourself? Why aren't you doing your paperwork, whether it's an exit in a business or an exit in your life? We all need to look after ourselves. We came into this world, we're having fun, we're celebrating, but at the same time, we all have to be responsible or accountable for ourselves. So it's the only way it's another way just to be kind to yourself. So you're still carrying the kindness forward, still carrying the self-care forward.
Wow. And believe it or not, we are already at the halfway mark. So we're going to take a brief commercial break, and then we're going to come back and talk with Mary Lynn a little bit more about what is involved with being an end-of-life doula. You were the first person to use that term. I'm not familiar with it. So I'm curious. I suspect our audience is curious as well. So please stay tuned for these messages, and we'll be right back with more from Mary Lynn. Welcome back to What the Why with Barbara Ann and my distinguished guest today, Mary Lynn Harris, wearer of many, many hats with Hard at Work LLC. LLC. And she is an end-of-life doula, a business coach, a life coach. She hosts a national podcast. She does a lot of things. And right before the break, I had asked Mary Lynn to explain a little bit more detail. What is an end-of-life doula?
Okay, an end-of-life doula is somebody who holds space for the person who is at their end of life. So helps brings the family together, reduces the anxiety of somebody who's making their transition out. And, we have many roles. My main focus right now is to get people to do their living trusts, get their paperwork done. And I have many services. So it's like we help people do their forgiveness, life review. We're a non-medical profession, and it's driven by the baby boomers because baby boomers do not want to be dying in the hospital by themselves.
Yeah.
They want to have their end of life at home with their family, surrounded by their family. And so what I do is kind of facilitate that space so that somebody can transition. So they have people around them that love them and care for them, and plus all the other services that I offer.
It sounds like there's also a level of protection of them as well. Sadly, as we age, there are those that do have their best interests at heart for us and those who don't necessarily, and I've sadly been able to see both sides of that. So it sounds like your services may get you in some situations that allow you to advocate for a patient that may not otherwise.
Yeah, advocate for the patient, the family. Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned
sorry, just quick interruption.
No, go ahead.
Just because we are non-medical, we are paid by the family. We're not paid by the hospital or the insurance.
Okay. So the family's really more interested in making sure that their family member also has the best possible transition, which is wonderful. How did you find the courage? I know you mentioned kindness, and your why is kindness, but there's a level of facing your own mortality as part of this process. So how did you find the courage to branch into services that are so critical to helping people make this very difficult transition in life?
It's not something you decide to do, like being a deaf doula or be with people that are dying. It's more like a calling. It's more like God saying to me, okay, Marilyn, time to come over here on this side of the life. So yeah, it's not something, it's not necessarily a career. You say, hey, I want to go over there and do that. You're called to do it. So I'm taking kindness with me as I do the end of life work with people, because you have to have a great amount of empathy, compassion, kindness to help families navigate through that process. Yeah.
Wow.
So my why has always been about whatever spirit or God wants me to do, I go do.
Hi, which is awesome. Because it's really one of the questions I often ask people is about the fear question, and so often the why was just not acting was scarier than acting, because they felt so called to do the work that they're doing. Now you, as I mentioned, one of the things you have is a national podcast. Could you talk to us a little bit more about the podcast, and because there's a lot of synergy between what we're doing on this show, and our viewers might very well be interested in subscribing to your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the podcast started because, COVID just hit us, and it was like, okay, what do I want to do now? I had to close my private. So it's sort of like, okay, what do I want to do now? Okay, let's go back to kindness. So I started the podcast because I wanted to promote kindness. I also wanted to allow other people who are making a difference or making an impact in their work or in their life, in the community, and get people to be on the show and talk about what difference they're making. And as I started the show in 2019, so as I shifted as well into my doula work, I'm also speaking to people who, maybe their life work is not their legacy. And I'm also opening it up to people who want to share their legacy. Because we all have a story, and we all want to share it, right? So how can we do that? So being on podcasts is good. It's like a speaker platform, if you will. So I have a story. I want to share about legacy. I want to share about what's happening and what I'm doing. Sort of similar to your why, only I'm not asking why. But sometimes we all land into our calling because something happened, right? Yeah. And so the podcast is doing really well. I'm getting lots of people to want to be on the podcast. So yeah, if anybody wants to be on the podcast or has a short story to share, I'm sure that we could give them the information.
which is great. And actually, I'm going to ask Mary Lynn at the end to share how you can reach out to her. But if you go to Purposefield's website, there's actually a link to my podcast that I did with Mary Lynn last year. Can't believe it's been that long. But it also has her contact information, so you can reach out to her and learn about the wide variety of things that she does through that contact information.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can find me on. It's all on YouTube, and it's also on my website. So it's just heartatworkonline.org.
Yeah, and I know your podcast is also on Apple.
Yeah.
Are you on Spotify as well? I mean, you really are in the national.
Yeah, it's on Spotify. It's on, actually, my radio side is on Anchor FM, and my the video side is on YouTube. And then I also have it on my website, too.
Which is fantastic. Now, when you decided you were going to get into podcasting, I guess what's one thing you wish you knew before you decided to go down that road? I know this television show has been a tremendous learning experience for me. I imagine podcasting has been for you, too. For anybody who's thinking about maybe following in your footsteps in that sense, what is something you wish you knew before you decided to take that leap?
Well, I really didn't know what to do, but I took a course and learned how to do podcasting. I think the interesting thing about podcasting is if you want to start a show, just start it. Don't worry about making sure you have all the right equipment, because a lot of times you might find that after doing a few shows, you may decide this is not for me. So I always just encourage people to start. I do it very simple. And so what I really like about it is that all the wonderful people I get to meet and hear their story. So there is a lot of logistical stuff that you have to do that it wasn't that it was surprising to me. It's just that there is that part of the podcast that if you want to do it, you have to be willing to put the time in.
And it's kind of related to that. You mentioned that you took a course in how to do it. Was there anyone or multiple people who maybe also inspires you to bring your voice to that level in terms of a national presence?
I don't think so. I think it was just, just deciding, okay, COVID's here. What am I going to do with my time? And okay, let's start a podcast. And I don't really have, per se, a schedule that I do the calls on. I just allow people book their time when I have time. And I think the biggest thing that about podcasting, I've had a lot of people I could talk to because they were doing podcasts, or I would hook in and listen to other people's shows, see how they do it and what happens and that type of thing. So I think if you really want to do it, you have to jump in and just do it and see what's going to work for you. I took a course on it because, just so I can understand how to get started. But everybody has their different show and different angles. So I think you just have to, like TV, it's much different than just doing a Zoom call or a podcast, and some people record and some if it's live. So, just do it, just start. I'm available if you need help, but yeah.
So,
and you're available, I'm sure.
That's
too,
true. I do. It's interesting. I used to be the one seeking mentors, and now I'm getting those calls from people looking for mentors. It's kind of like, oh, yeah, I guess what I don't think of necessarily as expertise for somebody who has no idea, I guess it could seem that way. I used to laugh and say when somebody says you're an expert, I would say, oh, God help you. But I've learned that I have to own that. I once told another guest here that an expert is anybody who has 10,000 hours experience doing something.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Expert, that you are in so many different areas, which I think in of itself makes you unique from others. What would you say makes you more unique from others who are working in similar space?
I don't think I'm so unique. I'm just, my focus is always about service. Be a servant leader, be a thought leader, help people if they want help. And, just really as far as what I offer is just, I really try to go to the place of where they're at and work with them from that point of time, because, and without judgment.
Yeah.
Because, you can't help anybody if you're going to have your judgments in the way. So, just show up and help people. We all need help, whether we want to admit or not, but we all do.
And that's the perfect note to end on. Believe it or not, we are at time. So I really, really appreciate you being my first virtual guest. I postponed it for a while, but like I said, I knew I wanted you to be my first virtual guest when I did finally offer that as an option. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Barbara. It's been wonderful. I've learned a lot about live TV too.
So I guess what is the best way for people to connect with you and learn more about the services that you do offer? Like I mentioned, they can access you through me, through my website, but feel free to give them your information directly.
Sure. I mean, they can call me. My number is 510-320-8332, or just go to my website, heart, HEART, @workonline.org. You can find me there too, and I'd be happy to help you or answer any questions you have.
Yeah. And I know even though you're in California, I know you work nationally. I believe you also have international clients as well. Okay, I just want to make sure I was remembering that. So there you go. If you happen to be watching this overseas, Mary Lynn also does offer her services internationally. So thank you again, Mary Lynn. I'm so excited that you were here. Now, as for next week's going to be interesting. My original guest has to have surgery. So I have one of two people that's going to do next Monday or next Tuesday, and somebody else is going to do the following Tuesday. We're still wrapping it up at the time of this conversation taping. So you're just going to have to tune in to find out who my guest is next week. Because whether they're like our past guests or like my current guest today, Mary Lynn, they too will be sharing how they figured out their whys, and you really don't want to miss anything that any of them has to say. As a reminder, What the Why airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. and then on Mondays at 3:30 p.m. And it's also available on demand on RVN Television and Roku. Whether you are looking to make changes in your life or career or company, no matter how big or small, please join us again for more inspirational and informative conversations with people like Mary Lynn, who wanted to make changes in their life and in the world and overcame any challenges, fears, obstacles, learning opportunities that they needed to pursue to find their purpose and live it.